Story 1. Alright, so for context, I drive a 1968 Chevrolet Chevelle. She is a big car, and I am very proud of how I have restored her over the course of more than a decade. She is my daily driver, and I often get comments ranging from, "Cool car," to, "Oh my goodness, what are you doing driving that?" I am pretty laid back, so I let the negative comments roll off me. I rarely get negative reactions, thankfully, as most responses are more out of jealousy and awe than anything else. Anyway, today I was cruising the beach after I got off work early. There is always a nice spot where I like to park, watch the waves, and relax. Where I park is a little off to the side, so thankfully not a lot of people park there. Like I said, my Chevelle is a big girl with good hips on her. I like parking at the end because it gives me a bit more maneuverability when I am ready to leave, with fewer cars around. So, I was parked and chilling, just listening to some Bon Jovi and eating some trail mix, when I heard honking. I looked over and saw, let's call her Karen, in a decently sized sport utility vehicle. She was honking and pointing at me. I ignored her, as I was legally parked along the curb and was not in her way. It was a bit tight if she wanted to park, but she was welcome to park behind me. This is important. Well, Karen did not like that, so she got out and walked over to me, meanwhile leaving her sport utility vehicle in the middle of the road. Karen, excuse me, can you move? Me, I am sorry? Karen, you have been parked here forever. You need to share the space. Me, I have only been here 10 minutes, and I do not have to move. Karen, you need to share the beach. It is not like you are actually here to enjoy it. You and this disgusting old wreck. Me. Okay, first off, I have spent over 10 years building my car, and as you can see, she is very well taken care of. Second off, there is enough room on the curb behind me for your car. Lastly, it does not matter what anyone drives, I can park here and enjoy the beach as long as I like. Karen, no, you have to move now. It is disrespectful to us who are trying to have a nice evening with our kids. You do not need to park here. You are blocking the view with this old junk. Me. Ma'am, if you do not leave me alone, I am just going to sit here even longer. You can pull in behind me and be perfectly fine. This upset her, and she walked back to her car. I figured that was the end of it. Nope, she tried going around me, in front of me. Now again, the Chevrolet Chevelle is a big car, wide hips. I jumped out of the car and had to stand in front of her giant sport utility vehicle because she was about to scrape my back fender. The space between us was about the size of a fist. I am very protective of my car and the amount of time and money that went into it. I was not about to let any upset person scratch her up. Me? Hey, you have got to back up. You are going to hit. You have to back up the way you came. You cannot fit through here. Karen, get out of my way. Get out. Me, you will literally damage your car. It is too narrow. Please back up. Now, amidst all the arguing, other people heard us. Someone else eventually convinced this Karen that I was telling the truth and got her to back up. She eventually did a 10-point turn in the tiny space and left in a huff, angrily waving at us. Afterward, a beach security officer, lifeguard, or whoever was on duty came over to me asking what was going on. He said he had received a complaint that I was blocking people from seeing the beach and polluting the air with my disgusting car. Thankfully, 2 of the passers-by were still around, checking out my car, and they corroborated my version of events. He acknowledged that I had done the right thing in trying to prevent an accident, and that I was legally parked along the curb. He mentioned that he occasionally gets calls about accidents because 2 large vehicles will try to squeeze around each other and cause scrapes and scratches on their cars. Honestly, in all my years of driving my car, I have got to say I have never quite had an experience like this. That woman was truly out of sorts. So anyway, how has your afternoon been? Story 2. Note, this happened a while ago. So, some background. I live in a small Midwest town. I'm a disabled Army veteran who gets Meals on Wheels. Everyone, including the mayor, police chief, fire chief, city council members, and most of the city employees and residents know me. I love watching the birds and squirrels, and so do my puppies. I have a large picture window. I use a heavy-duty cane to get around due to service-connected disabilities. I have severe PTSD, social anxiety disorder, and depression. I don't deal well with confrontation. I'm outside in my front yard filling the squirrel bird feeder with peanuts and sunflower seeds. I've already filled up the bird feeders. They are hanging from their hooks. I have a little bucket that I use to fill the feeder. My feeders are well within my property lines and about 10 feet from the house, so far away from the street or sidewalk. All of a sudden, I hear the call of the wild Karen. "Excuse me, what do you think you are doing?" "Huh?" was all I could stammer out. I had never met this woman before, and I knew a lot of people. Karen then screamed, "You can't put out bird feeders in this city. I was told so." I've lived in the city and my house for over 20 years, so I know it wasn't true. But about a half a mile from my house was a new development, so perhaps they had HOA rules that wouldn't allow it. I've lived here for. I tried to explain, but Karen wasn't having any of it. "No, you need to take them down right now." Her friend tried to hush her and say just call the city and let them handle it. "No," I yelled back. "They are staying." I was a sergeant in the army, and my voice carries. People came out of their houses to see what was going on. Then Karen did a really stupid move. She came onto my property and tried to take off my bird feeders. I blocked her and she shoved me, and I fell down to the ground. I swung my cane at her and hit her hard. Karen screamed, "You assaulted me." I yelled back, "You are trespassing and you pushed me. I'm going to call the police." Before Karen or I could call the police, there were 3 police subs on the scene. One vehicle was marked Community Service Officer, and the police chief was in it. He was delivering Meals on Wheels. A disabled Air Force vet 4 houses down got them, and so did I. The police chief saw the whole thing and called for backup. She assaulted me, and she has bird feeders which aren't allowed. Police chief, ignoring her, asks how I'm doing, and if I need an ambulance and to go to the hospital. I'm on blood thinners, and when Karen pushed me, I fell really hard. "Yes, I fell very hard, and I'm on blood thinners," I replied. He radios for an ambulance. He gets my lunch, puts it into the fridge, gets my purse and keys, calms the puppies down and puts the radio on. They have gone bonkers, seeing me get hurt. Karen, now in handcuffs. Why am I being arrested? "For trespassing and assault," replied the police chief. "I saw it with my own eyes, and I have dash cam video of it." "Sir," I piped up, "I have security cameras, and they will have footage as well." He nodded. I was whisked off to the nearby hospital, Nanva. I didn't have health insurance. I had to be treated at the VA Medical Center, or I would have to pay the bills myself. Due to the severity of the fall, I had to stay in the ICU for several days. I had some horrible bruises and pain afterwards. I worried about how I was going to pay the hospital bills, who was going to take care of my puppies, etc. As I have no family nearby, I have a special lockbox for police and the fire department with the house keys, so they can enter in case of emergency. Between the police and fire department and neighbors, my puppies were spoiled rotten. Walks, treats, and fed. And Karen, not only did she get jail time, but then she had to do 500 hours of community service. The judge knew me and threw the book at her. She also had to pay 100% of my medical expenses, including the ambulance ride. Super karma. During her jail time, she had to come to my house, dressed in her orange jail jumpsuit and do yard work, including mowing the lawn, raking leaves, pruning, and picking up my dog's poop in the backyard, and refilling the bird feeders. Oh, how she hated to fill the feeders. Note, apparently Karen lived in the new development which had HOA rules. They were McMansions. I didn't see her after she finished her community service, and from what I've been told, she lost her job and her rich husband divorced her. I'm not shedding a tear. So Karen's out there, leave me, my birds, squirrels, and their feeders alone. Story 3. At the turn of the century, I worked as an accountant for a major sports team. The owner hired a new VP of Human Resources who immediately fired the Chief Financial Officer. The CFO's duties were shifted down the accounting staff, and we were a small staff of 6. We were swamped. At the same time, the new VP of HR organized an all-staff trivia contest between departments. When those of us in accounting saw the email, we immediately deleted it. We were already working evenings and weekends just to keep up. We had no spare time to spend an afternoon playing games. When the VP of HR saw that no one from accounting had signed up, he called another accountant and me into his office. He insisted we form a team and participate in the event. We explained how incredibly busy we were, pointed out the deadlines we were facing, and told him how many hours everyone in the department was working. His face turned red. He stood and pointed a finger at me and said, "This is not a request. This is mandatory. You will attend the trivia contest, and you will show the entire staff how smart the accounting staff is." He glared at both of us in turn. "Do you understand?" We nodded and left his office. Halfway back to the accounting office, my coworker gestured to the restroom, and we ducked inside. "If we've got to do this," she said with an evil grin, "let's really do this." I nodded, catching her meaning. She was a highly educated, brilliant person who was well-versed in politics and current issues. I'll call her Ivaleg. My talent is a bizarre memory for odd and normally unuseful factoids. The trivia teams had to be 3-player, and we decided to recruit another coworker who knew sports statistics to the point of being overzealous. I'll call him Sportster, and he was the perfect fit because we knew they'd have a lot of sports trivia in the game. We pulled him aside and went over our plan with him. We would show them how smart the accounting staff was, and we would do it as fast as possible so we could get back to the piles of work waiting for us. He was all in. On the day of the trivia game, all staff met in a bar in the empty arena. Ironically, the VP of HR was called away on an HR emergency, so he didn't show up at all. There was an open bar, appetizers, and a few of the sports team's players and broadcasters attended. The other trivia teams represented ticketing, guest services, operations, security, marketing, broadcasting, IT, the foundation, etc. I would estimate nearly 200 people were there. They were all drinking liquor and filling up on the bar food. The 3 of us from accounting drank caffeinated soda and stayed sharp, and we dominated. The game was structured so 2 teams would play each other while the rest of the staff watched. When a team lost during a round, they were immediately out of the competition. It started as a fun event, with laughter and teasing between departments. During the first round, our team easily and fiercely trounced the competition. The 3 of us stayed deadly serious and focused throughout the game. Ivaleg was superb at answering the classical knowledge and politics questions. Sportster covered the world of athletics, and I was able to pull up anything they couldn't get. As our team quickly routed our opponents and moved up in the tiers, the laughter died away, and the fun atmosphere disappeared from the bar. We won the competition, were each awarded a small plastic trophy, and we left immediately, going back to the piles of work awaiting us at our cubicles. That evening, I worked quite late, quietly plugging away. Our middle manager accountant was in his office working, and probably didn't realize I was still there. Someone stormed into the area and went right to the middle manager's office. What the heck happened at the trivia thing? It was the VP of HR. The middle manager talked about how Ivaleg, Minnesota Golden Girl, and Sportster were so intent on winning. It made everyone uncomfortable. I realized I had to make my presence known, so I grabbed my trophy and stood, prairie dogging over the cubicles. "Hey, you forgot to tell him," I said. They tried to distract us by bringing in the players and the on-air talent. I laughed and set my trophy on the corner of the cubicle. But we showed them how smart the accounting staff is. I didn't wait to see their reaction. I just sat and got back to work. In the 10 years I worked for the organization, there were no more all-staff trivia games played. Story 4. Note: Here in the UK, we are in lockdown. It's illegal to not wear a face covering in shops and social distancing must be adhered to. This is my second Karen incident in 2 days, and I'm just about ready to hibernate away for the winter from all the drama. This afternoon I had to go to our local large supermarket to pick up something from the pharmacy that was in the store. It was quite quiet, and as always, the shops here have social distancing markers on the floor to help customers stay 2 meters away from each other. And by law, people have to wear a mask. I am second in line. The first person is currently being served at the counter. As I am waiting on the floor marker, and along walks a man and stands in front of me. We will call him Male Karen. So now he has pushed into the front of the line, and I am second. I'm not in any rush, and I'm under 5 feet tall, less than 8 stone in weight, and not really ready to confront anyone, let alone a 6FT plus man in his 40s 50s during a pandemic, so I let it slide. He doesn't even bat an eyelid. He walks up to the counter as soon as the other customer being served leaves and requests the toothpaste he wanted from the pharmacist serving. At this point, from what I understand, the item he wants isn't sold behind the pharmacy counter, and it's in fact 5 aisles away in the healthcare section of the supermarket, not part of the pharmacy at all. At this point, I can now clearly hear every word between the pharmacist and Male Karen. This triggers the Male Karen and insists by getting louder that the pharmacist goes to get the toothpaste for him. The pharmacist is polite, explains he can't leave the pharmacy, and gives directions to the man. He also offers to call one of the supermarket floor staff to take the man to the aisle which he needs. This does not work nor appease the Male Karen. He starts to get angrier, leaning over the counter, pressing his face against the plastic barrier that separates customers from staff, and pointing at the pharmacist under the gap of the barrier where you slide your money to pay. The Male Karen is yelling obscenities and demanding that the pharmacist go and get it right now. You do as you're told and get my toothpaste right now. Thankfully, the pharmacy is stationed right next to where the security room is, and they don't tolerate any abuse. As I'm standing back, I see him hit the hidden security button under the counter. The man rips off his face mask and is full on shouting at the pharmacist, complaining and raging that this is unacceptable, banging his hands on the counter and knocks items off the display with his temper tantrum, still screaming that they should go and get the item for him, and he should be treated with respect. I can't even believe people think they are this entitled, but here this guy is. The security arrives within a few seconds, as they are literally behind the door to the side of the counter, and I'm sure they could hear the problem, and escort the raging man out of the store. By the time I left the building, there were 2 police cars outside and a police van, and plants, soil and plant pots, from where the supermarket sells to well plants, thrown all over the floor. So I can only assume he started throwing plants and flower pots at the security guards. Not sure, I just had to speculate that plant's part. Meanwhile, the Male Karen I had seen earlier was still raging, now at police officers and towards the security standing nearby talking with another officer, and was being loaded into the back of the big blue van in handcuffs, still raging about how he shouldn't be treated like this. He's done nothing wrong. I'm just glad I never confronted him myself about jumping the queue. But it left me and others, including the staff, shaken by the event of this person and their pure entitlement. All over toothpaste. Story 5. I, 29, female, lived with my mom and her new boyfriend, we'll call him Adam, when I was a child. They met when I was 10 years old. From the moment I met this man, I never liked him. He gave off the most terrifying vibes, and even as a child I could instinctively tell that there was something wrong with this man. Fast forward 6 years, and my mom and him are getting married on my birthday, no less. I have 3 new siblings in that time from their marriage, and this man for the past 6 years has made my life a living hell. He was physically and verbally aggressive almost every single day to me, my mom and siblings. However, he did, and still does, have a particular dislike towards me. To this day, I am still not sure why. He would exclude me from family events, force family members to not give me presents at Christmas and birthdays, to then humiliate me on those events and make a scene of me not receiving gifts, body shame me. I was 11 years old when he did this, mind you, called me names, spent approximately $50,000 of my inheritance on himself, things like mountain bikes and the like, would hide my phone for no reason so I could not contact anyone, ruined the very expensive 4WD I bought my mum as an adult out of my inheritance, and once he ruined it, he left it at its demise place, which was out of town in the backcountry down a steep slope and in a creek for me and my mum to sort out, stolen cars and motorbikes, started a bushfire, tried to pin a break and enter of a friend's house in the middle of the night, and that's just a snippet of the charms of this literal awful human being. I moved out of home very shortly after the wedding, and at 16 was living on my own, juggling 2 part-time jobs, full-time school in a brand new state and a brand new city, but it was a heck ton better than living at home. Fast forward again another 10 years, I'm 26, and my mum has finally had the courage to separate from him with my 3 siblings after years of further abuse. He still tries and terrorizes their lives and controls them and demonstrates very threatening behavior, but at least they're out. My 3 siblings chose to stay with my mum, for obvious reasons, but still had to have visitation with their father due to custody arrangements. Adam always had a lot of resentment towards the children for this, but can you blame them? Fast forward now to the present day. I have full care of the oldest of my 3 younger siblings, as she wanted to escape Adam and moved states to live with me. I fully supported this because I have always tried to help where I can. The youngest of the 3 stays with mum. The middle child, my brother, was very traumatized by Adam's behavior and consequently has a lot of untreated trauma and behavior to go with it. I tried to take care of him and let him live with me and my family at one point. However, he also was too violent for me to handle. Adam actively stopped my brother getting the mental health help he needed. I believe this to be that it might have held him accountable if my brother told anyone anything too incriminating. Brother moves back to my mother and youngest sister. He is also too violent for them to handle. Last week, Sunday, my brother assaulted a family member when at mum's house. Brother was escorted off the property by police and taken to Adam's house to live now. I got a message from Adam on Wednesday for the first time in years saying, "Your brother is missing. The police have been called. If you know anything, call me or the police." Instant panic sets in. I feel like a scared child again from a very benign message from this man. I sat looking at this message all night wondering what to do about it. That's when it came to me. Adam asked me to call the police if I knew anything. He did not specify what I had to know and what I should tell the police, just that if I knew anything to call them. So I did. I called the police and told them that I felt I had some very important information to tell them regarding my missing brother. I told them everything, all the abuse that had happened to me and my family at great length. I told them that if they return my brother to Adam's house when they find him, that they will be putting him in direct danger. I told them everything. The police were very interested to hear this about Adam and put me on hold while the police officer I was speaking to went to discuss something with her superior. When I get taken off hold, I am talking to a more senior officer now. He wants me to reiterate the story, which I do. He says someone will call me back. Okay, I think. I get a call back no longer, and they ask if needed. Would I sign a statement to what I had said? Of course I agree. I go down to my local police station to sign the statement of what I have told the police. There is now an arrest warrant out for Adam for a multitude of reasons. Seems there was more on his police file that I wasn't aware of. And I was told that under no circumstances would Adam be getting my brother or any of my other siblings back in his care. Story 6. A few years ago, I began playing a recently released MMO, massively multiplayer online game. That MMO had servers separated by languages, so I thought I'd join the appropriate server and I began playing. After a week or so, I began looking into guilds, alliances, you call it, and found one after being invited. The person who invited me was a subleaser, a great guy, pretty friendly and helpful, and so were the rest of the members. But there were some bad apples. Said bad apples were the leader and his clique. Now, let's talk about the jerk leader. This person was awful on all levels. He didn't deviate from his clique and would refuse to play with other members in the alliance. The only time he talked towards the guild was to brag about mount drops, how much he was whaling, or to force people into PvP duels he would rig into winning. He was also quite the misogynistic person that somehow had a girlfriend who was too passive to know what to do with him. After a few months of playing with that guild, I got to know them. I made friends with the sub-leader, I made friends with the girlfriend. We organized our own groups, and we ignored the leader and just played between ourselves, forming a proper community. Some people even began to believe that sub-leader was the actual leader for how much work he put in and how much he cared about this guild. Around this time as well, the guild began to get into contests how much guild points the guild could farm monthly, getting into leaderboard positions and, sadly, earning the leader rewards and bragging rights. In fact, the leader got so much into it, he began to bribe people, asking them to reach a ridiculous amount of points, and he'd tell you his secret to get rich. Me, being a dumb teen at the time, bit into it and spent a lot of my spare time grinding away, eventually befriending even the leader for how much I earned on my own. Now, this is the time where I say that I'm a guy and I was playing a female character. I never told anyone my gender because it wasn't important. What's important is that we get those points. When the leader found out about the character and how I liked dressing her, he began flirting with me, calling me pet names, even in public chats as guild chats or in party chats, even if his girlfriend was around. I first ignored it and just focused on getting the secret to wealth, and eventually earned it. To get it, the leader wanted to give me something, and we headed into a private raid call server so it could be given to me. The secret of making stupid amounts of money, using a third-party tool to fish all night, breaking several rules in the terms of service. At the time, I just learned how to use it and abused it. Eventually, this leader wanted to talk to me one-on-one, and I headed into the voice channels where he laughed when he found out I was a guy. All this time he thought he was flirting with a girl, that he got a second piece of candy, how his ego was stroking knowing he was a man. But no, I just tolerated him. This moment is when his sweet talk turned into abuse. I began suffering verbal abuse from him. After some weeks of this, I had a fight with him in whispers where I told him to stop. And he kept mocking me and how I couldn't take a joke and such and such. I just quit after he went offline and my whispers met with a, "This player couldn't be reached." Now, this is where the revenge comes from. When someone leaves the guild, a message pops out, and it is displayed in the guild chat. X has left the guild. Also, I made myself a highly dependable person, and, of course, people needed me there. So I began getting whispers from several members about what I've done, and I just told them. I began also compiling the fight I had with the leader over it to make a neatly arranged collage to show to everyone. In no time, that guild began to vacate and the chat was being spammed with "X has left the guild," causing more people to wonder what happened and ask their friends, creating a chain that reduced the guild to the jerk leader, his clique, and the girlfriend. Furthermore, we made our own guild with the sub-leader, becoming the new and improved leader, and we resumed gameplay as usual. The next day, he found an empty guild and us with a new one. He asked one of his clique what happened, and he just told them that I quit, and all of them followed behind. Again, we got into another fight on how I was taking away his friends, how he'd lose the position in the ranking, how I ruined the guild he worked so hard and such, and I just told him that if you abuse someone they will leave, so he switched from blame throwing to name calling. Again, I let him rack up a nice list of insults and a couple of chat boxes filled with him degrading me for my choice of character in the game. Me, knowing that this man still had some fight in me, put on my fake crocodile tears and sent a whisper to his girlfriend. I explained the situation, how he tried to cheat on her with me and how I deflected him, how he switched his sweet talk into verbal abuse, and I told her that I felt bad for involving her, but she had to know that her boyfriend was doing what he was doing. She said it was okay, she was used to it, and 20 minutes later, I got a new round of whispers from the jerk ex-leader, telling me that his girlfriend broke up with him over this and that I was worse than Satan. Now, this game has censorship, and because he ran out of fuel, He began calling me the simplest and most childish things that the censor would allow him. Now, with his life broken up and his hobby ruined, I blocked him. We resumed gaming as usual. We consoled and helped the girlfriend get back on her feet and keep enjoying herself. And I genuinely felt bad for how much it affected her, but I believed that it was for the better that she didn't have to deal with that kind of person. I, after a few weeks, left that game on hiatus. Months later, I returned, and the jerk contacted me on another character. He tried making conversation with me, but I ignored him. He then began asking for help, saying it was a joke, let bygones be bygones, and I told him no. After what he said to me, I wouldn't talk to him. After some insults, I realized that his name started with GS. What GS means is Game Sage, which this company hired players, usually underage, and paid them almost nothing in in-game premium cash to police the game to them and report any people in a Skype group. That moment I remembered, I still have the phishing bot. So I began to stalk this guy and found out he was botting. Always on the same spot and at the same times. Not answering people when they whispered, "Are you botting?" I collected information about a week before exposing him on the forums. Game Sage botting crabs in the mountains. Come and see. And I dropped the screenshots of him, screenshots of the bot used, and explained how it worked. How he used to spread it to make his alliance rank up, and finally, I spent some of the loyalty points, another currency, on buying server-wide megaphones to inform the entire player base of this. He, of course, was sleeping while his fancy tool did the work, and people began flocking to check it out and complain. We did a small event regarding the situation. We had some laughs and nice talks, until a general manager walked in and confirmed that the guy was botting. Then he mysteriously disappeared. We didn't see him again. In the end, I lost touch with all of these people. This is one of the few wins I have in life, where I got tired of someone's abuse and ruined his guild, his relationships, the account he wailed on, his bragging status, just because the guy thought it'd be cool to abuse me like this over my choice of character in the game.